The WWE Universe just witnessed one of the most shocking and brutal returns in recent memory when Jacob Fatu made his explosive comeback to Friday Night SmackDown alongside Jimmy Uso following a vicious backstage assault that left the entire locker room in chaos. If you thought you had seen everything in professional wrestling, think again, because what transpired on this particular episode of SmackDown has completely changed the landscape of the company and sent shockwaves throughout the entire wrestling world. Before we dive deep into this insane situation, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss any of the latest wrestling news and updates. The night started off seemingly normal with SmackDown running its usual course of matches and storylines, but nobody in attendance or watching at home could have predicted the absolute carnage that was about to unfold backstage. Reports began filtering out during the commercial breaks that something major was happening behind the scenes, with production crew members and backstage personnel frantically moving around and officials being called to a specific area. The tension in the building was building to unprecedented levels as rumors started spreading like wildfire through the arena, and fans in attendance could sense that something monumental was about to go down. When the cameras finally cut to the backstage area, the scene was nothing short of devastating. Multiple superstars were shown laid out across the floor in various states of distress, with medical personnel rushing to attend to the wounded. Equipment was scattered everywhere, tables were overturned, and the destruction painted a picture of absolute mayhem. Security guards were scrambling to make sense of what had happened while trying to secure the area and prevent any further incidents from occurring. The atmosphere backstage had transformed from the usual controlled chaos of a wrestling show into what looked like the aftermath of a war zone. As the camera panned across the carnage, viewers could see some of WWE's top talents down and injured, including several members of different factions who had apparently been caught in the crossfire of whatever violent encounter had just taken place. Blood was visible on the walls and floor, making this one of the most graphic and intense scenes that SmackDown has presented in quite some time. The severity of the situation became crystal clear when even the commentary team seemed genuinely shocked and struggled to find words to adequately describe what everyone was witnessing. This was not your typical staged backstage brawl that fans are accustomed to seeing, but rather something that felt disturbingly real and dangerous. The mystery of who was responsible for this unprecedented attack did not last long. As officials continued to assess the damage and tend to the victims, the cameras caught sight of two figures emerging from the shadows at the end of the hallway. The silhouettes were unmistakable to anyone who has followed the Bloodline saga over the past several years. Walking side by side with an aura of dominance and confidence were none other than Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso, both looking absolutely menacing and ready for war. The return of Jacob Fatu had been speculated about for weeks following his absence due to injury, but nobody expected him to come back in such a violent and impactful manner. Jacob Fatu has been one of the most dominant forces in the Bloodline faction since his arrival in WWE, and his absence had left a noticeable void in the group's dynamics. Standing at an imposing height and possessing incredible athleticism for someone of his size, Fatu has quickly established himself as one of the most feared competitors on the entire roster. His combination of power, speed, and raw intensity makes him a threat to anyone who steps in his path, and his loyalty to the Bloodline has been unwavering since day one. The injury that sidelined him had many wondering if he would ever return to the same level of dominance, but those doubts were completely erased the moment he stepped back into the picture. Jimmy Uso walking alongside Fatu adds another layer of intrigue to this entire situation. The relationship between the Uso brothers has been complicated and tumultuous over the past year, with allegiances shifting and family bonds being tested in ways that fans never thought possible. Jimmy's presence with Jacob Fatu suggests that the Bloodline is regrouping and potentially stronger than ever before, which should send a clear warning to everyone else on the SmackDown roster. The chemistry between these two has always been evident, and together they form an incredibly dangerous combination that few teams in WWE can match in terms of sheer brutality and effectiveness. The attack itself appears to have been calculated and methodical rather than a random outburst of violence. Multiple sources backstage have indicated that the targets were specifically chosen and that Fatu and Jimmy knew exactly what they were doing when they unleashed their assault. This level of precision and planning suggests that there is a larger strategy at play and that this attack was merely the opening salvo in what could be a prolonged campaign of destruction. The message being sent is clear: Jacob Fatu is back, the Bloodline is unified, and anyone who stands in their way will face serious consequences. The victims of the attack included several superstars who have had previous conflicts with the Bloodline, which further supports the theory that this was a targeted strike rather than indiscriminate violence. Among those laid out were competitors who had either challenged for championships held by Bloodline members or had spoken out against the faction in recent weeks. The fact that all of these individuals were taken out in one fell swoop demonstrates the kind of power and coordination that makes the Bloodline such a formidable force in WWE. No one is safe when this group decides to make a statement, and this attack proved that beyond any shadow of doubt. The reaction from the WWE Universe has been absolutely explosive since this segment aired. Social media platforms erupted with fans sharing their shock and excitement over Jacob Fatu's return and the brutal nature of his comeback. Trending topics related to SmackDown dominated discussion for hours after the show ended, with fans debating what this means for the future of various storylines and feuds. The buzz generated by this one segment has been enormous, proving once again that when WWE delivers moments of genuine shock and intensity, the audience responds with incredible passion and engagement. Other superstars on the roster have also begun reacting to the attack through social media posts and interviews, with many expressing concern about what comes next and who might be targeted in future assaults. The locker room atmosphere has reportedly become tense as wrestlers realize that the bloodline is back to full strength and possibly more dangerous than ever. Some superstars have called for action to be taken against Fatu and Jimmy, while others seem content to stay out of their way and avoid becoming the next victims. This division in how talent is responding to the situation adds another interesting dimension to the overall narrative. From a storytelling perspective, this return and attack opens up numerous possibilities for future programming. The creative team now has a wealth of material to work with as they build towards upcoming premium live events and continue developing ongoing storylines. The question of who will step up to confront the bloodline becomes even more pressing now that they have demonstrated their willingness to use such extreme violence. Potential challengers will need to seriously consider whether they have what it takes to go to war with a group that has shown no mercy and no hesitation in destroying anyone who crosses them. The timing of Jacob Fatu's return is particularly significant given where WWE is in their yearly calendar and what major events are on the horizon. His comeback at this specific moment suggests that he will play a crucial role in upcoming storylines and potentially be involved in some of the biggest matches and moments that the company has planned. The investment that WWE has made in building up the bloodline over the years indicates that they have long-term plans for this faction, and Jacob Fatu is clearly a central piece of those plans moving forward. His unique combination of skills and his ability to generate genuine heat from audiences makes him an invaluable asset. The medical updates on the victims of the attack have been slowly trickling out, with WWE officials remaining tight-lipped about the full extent of the injuries sustained. This ambiguity adds to the realism of the situation and keeps fans guessing about how this will affect the various superstars involved. Some may be written off television for short periods to sell the severity of the attack, while others might return quickly seeking revenge. The unpredictability of how WWE will handle the aftermath is part of what makes this storyline so compelling and keeps the audience invested in seeing what happens next. Jimmy Uso's role in all of this cannot be understated, as his involvement adds layers of family drama and internal bloodline politics to the situation. The dynamics within the Anoa'i family have always been complex, and WWE has done an excellent job of incorporating those real-life relationships into their storytelling. With Jimmy now apparently aligned with Jacob Fatu in this violent crusade, questions arise about where other members of the family stand and whether this represents a unified bloodline or if there are still fractures beneath the surface. The potential for internal conflict even as they present a united front against outsiders creates fascinating storytelling opportunities. The production quality of this segment deserves recognition as well, with the camera work and editing creating a genuinely chaotic and intense atmosphere. The decision to show the aftermath rather than the attack itself was smart, as it allowed imaginations to fill in the details and made the violence feel more impactful. The reactions of the backstage personnel and the visible shock on the faces of everyone involved helped sell the gravity of the situation. WWE has sometimes been criticized for their backstage segments feeling too staged or scripted, but this particular segment had an organic quality that made it feel urgent and real. Looking ahead, the question everyone wants answered is what comes next for Jacob Fatu, Jimmy Uso, and the bloodline as a whole. Will this attack lead to immediate retaliation from the victims or their allies? Could we see the formation of a group of superstars banding together to combat the bloodline threat? How will WWE management respond to such a blatant act of violence and disregard for authority? These are the questions that will drive storylines in the coming weeks and keep fans tuning in to see how the situation develops. The physicality and intensity that Jacob Fatu brings to his performances sets him apart from many of his contemporaries. His willingness to put his body on the line and deliver truly impactful moments makes him must-see television whenever he appears. Combined with the star power and experience of Jimmy Uso, this partnership has the potential to produce some of the most memorable moments and matches of the year. The ceiling for what they can accomplish together seems incredibly high, and fans should be excited about the possibilities. The broader implications for SmackDown as a brand are also worth considering. A segment like this generates attention not just from existing wrestling fans but can attract new viewers who hear about the intensity and want to see what WWE is doing. In an era where capturing and maintaining audience attention is more challenging than ever, moments that break through the noise and get people talking are invaluable. This Jacob Fatu return and attack accomplished exactly that and has positioned SmackDown as a must-watch show for anyone interested in compelling wrestling storytelling. The backstage assault also serves as a reminder that in professional wrestling, anything can happen at any time. The element of surprise and the ability to shock audiences is what makes this form of entertainment so unique and engaging. When fans feel like they genuinely do not know what is coming next, their investment in the product increases exponentially. WWE has delivered that feeling with this segment and now has the responsibility to follow through and continue delivering on the promise of unpredictability and excitement. As the dust settles and WWE moves forward from this moment, one thing is absolutely certain: Jacob Fatu is back and the wrestling world will never be the same. His return alongside Jimmy USO has set the stage for what promises to be an incredible chapter in WWE storytelling, full of intensity, drama, and unforgettable moments. The victims of this attack will surely seek retribution, new alliances will be formed, and the battle lines will be drawn for conflicts that could define the next several months of programming. The stakes have never been higher and the bloodline has never looked more dangerous. Make sure you subscribe to stay updated on every development in this explosive situation, because you definitely do not want to miss what happens next in this incredible saga.